Have you ever felt left out or unseen despite being your kindest? What if it's not about them, but the subconscious signal you're unknowingly transmitting? Today, we're diving deep into how your subconscious frequency shapes how people treat you and how to rewire it for the life that you truly want. So, welcome to Revive with River. I'm your host, River, and today I have an episode that I'm excited to bring because we have something I want to bring to you as much clarity as possible as to what your subconscious is, what it's responsible for, so that you can be aware of it and not in the dark about it anymore. If you don't know what you don't know, then you don't know what's going on. But if once I think you become aware of it, you take more comfort in the things that are going on around you. You no longer, you heard people say, oh, I was just dealt a bad deck of cards. That's not true. Basically, what I'm going to go over today, all the way, stick around all the way to the end, because I'm going to go over the process of what is really happening in the subconscious. And I think it's a great video. I put this together. It hit me to teach this a while ago, this particular subject that I'm teaching on today. But I think you're gonna like it. So let's get started. And also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Turn on your notifications. I enjoy bringing this content. If you know anybody who needs to hear anything like this, please share it with them. I would appreciate it greatly. And so the title of this, again, is Your Wi-Fi Signal. Basically, your subconscious Wi-Fi signal is not private. And I'm going to refer to the subconscious interchangeably in this episode as Wi-Fi signal, because I feel that all of us can relate in this day and age with Wi-Fi networks. And if you go to a coffee shop, first thing you ask is, hey, what's the password so I can log into the Wi-Fi, right? And that's the way to communicate within that arena. So we all have a signal that we're transmitting at all times. And I wanted to start by putting this down here, which is your subconscious speaks louder than words. I do have some notes, and I'm going to get into an example in a few, but I wanted to say this. Your subconscious speaks louder than words. Understand that we are all walking radio towers. We transmit and we receive frequencies. We transmit and we receive frequencies at all times, every second of the day. Our subconscious thoughts, beliefs, and emotions send out signals that others pick up on, often without knowing. And people don't just react to what you say or do, they respond to the energy that you put out. That is why you can meet someone and know right away you're going to like them or you're not. You're going to trust them or you're not. There's a signal out there that we are all putting out. And I will use a couple of examples, but I really, I want to just touch base on, for example, the example that I want to speak on today. Knowing that you always produce an invisible transmission that is visible as your life experience. That's really powerful. You always produce an invisible transmission, we all do, that is visible as our life experience. And it is experienced emotionally in the things that happen to us in our lives. Now, I want to bring up an example of a baby, because I do hypnotherapy, and so I work with a lot of people. And I think the common denominator I'm starting to see is that no matter what, in reality, we're always healing a wound from the inner child. And whether it's a past life or the inner child, because from the time that we are born to our first memory, and I always say this to everyone, is like, when was your first memory? For me, I remember blowing out my a cake at 3 years old, or two. I don't know. I'll remember now, and I think I'll put it up here. If I have the picture somewhere, but I remember that was like, I remember it. I could even taste the cake still. Obviously, sense of smell, sense of taste. Those things are very. They help us. They help things imprint into our subconscious. Now, the thing is that when you're born, let's take a baby here, a baby that's born at 1 year old. Let's say mom and dad were kind of debating, should we have a kid? Should we not have a baby? And maybe they're like, well, we're not really ready financially. I want to get a house first, etc. But she gets pregnant and now they have a baby. Let's just suppose in this example, this baby is one. And, one day mom has to stop working. Dad loses his job. Bills are piling up. Baby's crying. Baby wants food. Baby's sick. Dad and mom start arguing about money, and dad's like, see, I told you we shouldn't have had a baby, right? Carrying this baby and crying. That baby is picking up. The baby doesn't understand what money is, doesn't understand much of anything at that point. However, it is pure subconscious at that time that is being imprinted on. So the emotion of something's wrong with me, I shouldn't be here, I'm a bother, I'm a problem, I'm not wanted, those are all taking place in this baby's subconscious. Okay? Even though the parents didn't mean that, right? You didn't mean that. You were just stressed out. So you lashed out in a state of stress, and the baby received it without you meaning to do that. We don't mean to do that to our kids and hope that they have a lifelong trauma because of something like that, right? It could have been that next week dad got a job and it was even a better job. And that damage has already been done in the subconscious to that baby. So now let's imagine that the thing is that the baby at just 1 year old, I'm sharing some of these notes here because the baby at just 1 year old does not understand words, but they feel frequency. So the belief takes root even before they can speak, because the root takes place as a frequency. Now, I'll keep repeating this over and over, that the subconscious only functions in images and emotions. That is it. It doesn't calculate things. It doesn't think and dream up of a plan or let's do this. No. What did they really mean? Let's analyze what happened. No. The subconscious only works in images and emotions. That is why we must feel emotions. An emotion in hypnotherapy, a lot of times we go back to an emotion that is forgotten. It's been suppressed. And especially as men, I think we are taught to suppress emotions. And so to feel anything, it's like, oh, well, I'll just keep going. Excuse me. But a lot of times those things, when we do a lot of sessions, they come up. But they can be the most healing thing ever, because that's the only way to let it go, is to bring it up. The initial sensitizing event, the initial sensitizing emotion needs to come up, be healed, to be released. So this baby now, right? Let's look at what happens to this baby as an adult now. The adult this baby can have struggles where now they have a job, right? Let's look at some things here. And sorry if I get ahead of myself, but I want to say that your first Wi-Fi settings, again, the Wi-Fi is, I'm using it interchangeably in this episode to resemble the subconscious. So your first subconscious settings, your first Wi-Fi settings are not your own. They're not. So that should give comfort and like a big weight off your shoulders to know that, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You weren't born broken. You weren't born with issues or problems. Those settings that are causing your life experience today are not your fault. They're not your own. Somebody put those settings on you, whether it was fear, oh, stay away from a pool, never get near a pool. And so now you're scared of water because somebody, maybe grandma or grandpa saw that a friend of theirs when they were little drowned in a pool. So now they're just like, don't let the kids near the pool. Now you are scared of water or scared of a pool. You don't even know why. You're like, man, I just want to, I can't swim, And a lot of times those settings that come into our lives are just through love, right? Our grandparents, our parents they're doing that through love for protection, but it's not really helping. And so, very important to note that. And I want to share this with you. Like, if you fast forward, like that baby that I said, that 1-year-old baby that experienced rejection, the feeling of not being wanted or being a burden, being a bother because it doesn't know why, but it was just because mom and dad were struggling financially for that week, right? So baby grows up to become an adult, baby gets a job, well, adult now gets a job. And let's just suppose that this adult now goes to work and always, or should I say, experiences a lot of not being invited to gatherings with his coworkers or her coworkers. They go out to happy hour, they don't really invite them. And, in his conscious mind, in his or her conscious mind, they think, wait a minute, I buy donuts. I bring coffee to the office. I always give Rick a ride home. I give, Jenny a ride home, etc. Why don't they invite me? So now the conscious mind is trying to figure out what's wrong. And there's really nothing wrong. No matter what you do, they are just unconsciously responding to the signal that we provide, our Wi-Fi settings. They are just unconsciously responding to that. So now this person as an adult goes and goes to a healing process, right? Goes through what's wrong with me. And then they go to, they experience healing through meditation, Reiki, hypnosis, whatever. Talking to a therapist by whatever means, but they get a sense of, oh, my parents didn't really mean that, and I took it as literal because the subconscious takes everything as literal. Okay, this is why it's so important to visualize, because we take things literally in our subconscious, and that creates our life experience. So this baby, now an adult, receives healing. The settings have been changed. New signals going out, right? However, the conscious mind, when this adult still sees the group of people in his conscious mind, is gonna be like, oh, they're not gonna invite me. I'm gonna walk around this way. They don't like me. And all in this whole time, the people are like, wow, because if your settings have changed in your subconscious, the people have no choice but to react to your settings. Let me put that up here. Your original settings are shaping the influences, the life experience that you're experiencing today. But when you change your settings, you change your signal and your life experience. Even though this person's conscious mind hasn't caught up to his new wiring, he might go out of the way and be like, oh, they're over there. They're not going to invite me anyway. Not knowing that the people are like, oh, wow, there's something different about this person. And it's the subconscious Wi-Fi signal that has been changed. So I want to share that, it's so powerful. I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again regarding how we have really almost no control over this. There was a good friend of mine that I had not seen in 12 years. And all my friends know this story because it's the one that really taught me the power of the subconscious. And the power of meditation, the power of connection. And I remember I had not seen him in 12 years. And one day I was thinking about something he said to me that I always liked him. We lost touch for 12 years. And I asked a couple of friends, hey, have you seen this person? And they're like, oh, no. But for all we know, we don't know if he moved to Africa, to Europe. We don't know if he moved to South America. We don't know if he passed away, like, where, you know. And one day, so about 2 weeks pass, and at this point, I'm getting into meditation a little bit more. I go and I meditate for like 10 minutes. And I remember when I stopped, because you don't get a signal during meditation. Usually it's when you're done, you get like an impulse. Hey, go over here. I remember I got this like impulse. Hey, go to Starbucks. And I'm like, well, I'm always at Starbucks. I'm talking to myself in my head now. I'm like, which one? And then I saw a couch. And when I saw this couch, it's the couch at a Starbucks that's in Phoenix on 19th Avenue and Baseline. But that couch was always occupied. So I was like, well, okay. I didn't even really question it. I just went. And to my surprise, nobody was sitting on it. Sorry. And I go and I sit there and I start working. And out of nowhere, the Wi-Fi on my laptop is not connecting. And this is about 45 minutes in, right? So all of a sudden it's not connecting. And I'm like, what's going on here? I looked at my phone and it was connect. The Wi-Fi did work on my phone, but not on my laptop. So I tried to reset it and it just wasn't working. So I just saw 333, by the way. So anyway, so the story hopefully hits somebody out there that needs to hear this. And so to me, it was like, okay, now what? And then out of nowhere, I got this inkling to say, you know what? Time to go. Okay. So I put my laptop, closed my laptop, put it in my bag. And I had just gone to the bathroom probably a few minutes before that. And something tells me, go back to the bathroom. And I was like, I don't need to go to the bathroom. When I heard it, like I felt this like, nope, go to the bathroom. But I don't want to go. Go again. But I just went. Just go. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go to the bathroom for nothing, right? Nothing happens. It's like, okay, what a kind of a waste. I come out of the bathroom and I notice there's like 6 people in line. And I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not getting a coffee. And then something says, get in line and get a coffee. And I was like, what? I just had a coffee. Like, I'm done. I don't need any more coffee. Just get in line and get a coffee. So I'm in line. And I remember the barista looks at me. She's like, another one? And I was like, man, if you have any clue what's going on here. And then when she gives me the coffee, the refill, I already had 2 venti coffees. So this is my 3rd one. I didn't need another coffee, believe me. And so when I got this refill, I'm like, what the heck was this all about, right? So I put the lid on. I start walking. I'm like, man, am I crazy? Putting my laptop on my shoulder, start walking out, and I open the door. And who do I open the door for? My friend that I hadn't seen in 12 years. So he's like, hey, River. I'm like, dude, what's up? So we started talking, and here's the interesting thing. Where this Starbucks was located is on one side of the mountain. Turns out he lived on the other side. And to get there, you have to go all the way out to the freeway and loop around. He was far. And I asked him, what are you doing here, man? And because I asked him where he lived. And I'm like, so what are you doing here? He goes, you know what? I was at a customer's house. And when he told me where the customer's house is at, it's close, like maybe half a mile from the freeway that he needs to catch. And where we were at in the Starbucks was kind of more way in. So it really made no sense for him to be there. It was out of his way. It was way into Phoenix versus the freeway. And he's like, for some reason, I looked at the freeway and I just wanted to keep going straight down Van Buren. And then, because it runs parallel to the freeway. And then he goes, and when I got to 19th, he goes, I was on 59th in Van Buren. When I got to 19th Avenue, something told me to make a right. And out of nowhere, I just craved a Starbucks. I craved coffee. And he goes, River, and because I didn't think anything of it when he said that, but then he goes, River, I freaking hate coffee. And that's when it was like a big mic drop moment. Because I remember we used to go get breakfast, and you get pancakes with with eggs and coffee, right? He would always get a Coke or a Pepsi because he hated coffee. And all of a sudden it just reminded me how much he hated coffee. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I just craved the coffee. Like, what? So I look Starbucks near me, and here I am. So now think, right? How everything responds to our signal. He had to catch all the green lights. I had to, the timing of the Wi-Fi being attuned to just the little inspirations, of little things to do, like go to the bathroom now. Oh, even though I didn't want to go get another refill. All of these things that made no sense was perfect timing. The timing for me to hold the door open for this guy. And that's why I say we're only a meditation away from changing our life. That's been a slogan that I use all the time. A lot of people that know me will say, you always say that. And I'm not, I'm a guinea pig to myself, I guess, right? Because as I'm practicing these things that I talk about, I've seen them work, yet we make it harder than it is. We think, oh, meditation's so boring. You think of a movie where somebody meditates for an hour. In reality, all you need is 10 minutes. But the reason for the meditation is to allow your Wi-Fi settings in your subconscious to adjust just right for you to have more favorable experiences where life comes to you versus you trying to go get it. That would be the thing I would leave with you for sure on that, which leads me to that note in case what I just mentioned, people unconsciously respond to your settings at all times. Here you have a guy who hates coffee, has no idea why he's not jumping on the freeway. And the lights that he caught that were perfect, the traffic, the cars that moved out of the way for him to park at the perfect time for me to open the door for him. It took both of us doing these things to make it happen, right? And that's the way life begins to happen for you. So that baby that was that 1 year old felt abandonment, rejection, like a bother, like a burden. Now, by changing those settings through healing, can experience a different life with others as well. And that happens with our bodies. I've experienced healing like that. I've seen people. I have a lot of stories of people receiving healings. I shared in the last episode about my mom. So things like that happen all the time, as long as we are aware of what our Wi-Fi signal is projecting. And the best way to know what's in your subconscious is to observe your life experience. Look for the trends in your life. That always happens. It could be good or bad, because I have a lot of things that are very good that always happen to me. And I'm like, I like that setting. I'm not changing it. I'm not going to change that setting, but there's always something. And sometimes we don't know, but when we don't know why things happen the way they do. But when you start to observe those settings, then you'll be like, this is happening. And just be aware that your conscious mind has to catch up to your subconscious. It's just an awareness thing. It's not a battle. People call it such a battle. No, it's just an awareness thing. Just a matter of knowing what are my experiences? How do I feel about them? If I feel anxiety, then it's something off with my conscious mind and my subconscious, because anxiety is only happening because your conscious mind is trying to figure things out that don't make sense, because your Wi-Fi signal has been changed to something more favorable, but you're used to the unfavorable, etc. So I don't want to go on a rant about this because I could keep going on and on. I do want to thank you for joining me for this episode again. Your Wi-Fi signal is not private. Please subscribe, like, and share. I thank you for joining all my subscribers. I've been getting a lot of feedback. Don't hesitate to send me any questions that you may have that you want an answer to. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, I would love to do so. And thank you once again for joining me. And we'll see you at the next episode. Thank you.